Hello, my name is lesfleursdelanuit. I'm a photographer who specializes in macro photography and artistic editing. This is the final video in a series that shows you how to create a dreamy minimalistic edit. In this tutorial, we will incorporate some lighting effects into our image. We will then do some more color toning and other fine tuning of our image in order to bring the entire thing together. Okay, let's get started. So now we're going to do some color toning. We're going to make the background more golden. We're going to use a gradient map adjustment layer. We're going to go to Layer, New Adjustment Layer, Gradient Map. We're going to call it Golden. We're going to press OK. We're going to select the gradient map we want to use, so this one. Then we're going to go to Layers. We're going to change the blending mode from normal to soft light. We're going to change the opacity to something low. So maybe 35. And now we do not want to affect any of the blue areas. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply a color range mask. We're going to make sure that the mask is selected on the golden layer. Then we're going to go to Select, Color Range. As you can see, I've already made a selection. What you want to do is you want to sample the colors in the blue area, and then you want to adjust the fuzziness until you've selected everything that you consider part of your selection, so everything that's blue. So I've set my fuzziness to 167. Typically, it's going to be something high like that. Perhaps we should just adjust it a little bit more, or make it just a little bit less high. Because parts of the stem are being selected, and that's not necessarily blue. Okay, that's better. But we do want this right here, so let's add. There. That's much better. Okay, so the fuzziness has been set to 126. Now we're going to press OK. Okay, so this mask is going to hide the golden layers and apply this to this area. So that's not what we want. We want to press OK. So I mumbled a little bit. What I said was the mask that we had was doing the wrong thing. We actually want the invert. That is, we want to apply the golden adjustment layer to the background and not to the flowers. So we want the flowers to be black and the background to be white. So we press invert to have that. We're going to press OK now. Okay, great. Now we're going to adjust the color of the blues. We're going to decrease the vibrance a little bit of the blues. So we're going to go to Layer, New Adjustment Layer, Vibrance. We're going to call it Blue Tone. We're going to press OK. We're just going to decrease it a little bit to -8. We're going to go back to Layer, make sure we have the mask selected. We're once again going to apply a color range mask. We're going to go to Select, Color Range. This time we want to actually affect the blue part, so we're going to uncheck Invert. So now the adjustment layer is actually going to affect the blue parts and not the golden parts. So we're going to press OK. And we're going to wait. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've added this bouquet to our layer panel. We're going to now go ahead and add in some more lighting effects. What we want to do with this is we want to blur it so it becomes like spots of soft lighting. We're going to go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. This is good, so the radius is 144.6 pixels. We're going to press OK. Wait for it to do its thing. We're going to change the blending mode from normal to screen. As I said, when you're working with any lighting layer, the best blending mode to use is screen. We're going to adjust the opacity a lot. Let's change it to 34%. And now we're going to apply a mask. We do not want this to affect the flowers. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Select, Load Selection, versus Channel. We're going to press Flowers. And then we're going to press Invert. OK. and then we're going to apply the mask. We're going to click this button right here. Okay. So actually, let's increase the opacity of this layer since it's very subtle. Okay, that's better. 53% is pretty good. We're now going to add more lighting effects in. So I've gone ahead and I've downloaded this bokeh texture. Now this is an extreme bokeh texture. We're going to select it. Go to edit, copy. Yes, there are faster ways to do this. Then go to layer, new, layer, call it sparkles. Press OK. Then we're going to paste our selection into the layer. We're going to bring it to the bottom. And then we're going to apply or change blend mode from normal to screen. Okay, so this is where we have to experiment a little bit. This is where this version of the image is going to be different than the original version at the beginning of the video. Because what we want to do is just make adjustments as we see fit. So the first thing we actually want to do is we want to remove this edge up here. So we're going to apply a mask. We're going to select the brush as usual, and we're going to paint with black. We're going to decrease the size of the brush a little bit. Let's set it to 1000. A little bit too big at this point. And then we're going to erase this edge. Once again, make sure that you're on the mask. Otherwise, you're going to be painting on the layer. Now we're going to just move this around and see what we like. I think that's good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to convert this to a smart image. We're going to make sure any harsh edges have actually been erased. So there's actually some right here, so I'm going to paint that away again with my black paintbrush. Here too. Now I'm going to convert this for smart filters. So remove a filter, convert for smart filters. Now it's going to combine my layer and my mask, which is a little bit annoying, but that's what it does. So let's adjust this a little bit. Now we're going to filter. We're going to blur these. We're going to go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur. We're going to set the blur to 22.2 pixels. You can try at other radiuses. So let's try a little bit higher. That creates a much softer effect. Let's try a little bit lower. That's almost no effect at all. If you like to have a sharp bokeh or a well-defined bokeh, that's probably fine. But I actually want it to be softer balls. I'm going to go with maybe 25, not 35, but 25. Less than that. Let's go back to 23. Okay, I'm going to press OK. Now I'm going to apply a gradient mask. And with this gradient mask, I'm going to make it so that it does not affect the flower or this part. It's going to affect this area down here. Let's click here to apply mask. Now we're going to select the gradient. This time we want to use a linear gradient. And we want a black and white gradient. So that's the basic gradient. So scroll all the way up where it says basics. select black and white. Now let's paint that in. Make sure you have the mask selected. You painted in the wrong direction, so paint the opposite direction. Okay, that looks good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this layer. Right click, duplicate layer. We're going to flip it. We're going to edit, transform, flip horizontally. And then we're going to blur it some more. So we're going to go to filter. We're actually going to click on the Gaussian blur filter down here. We're just going to set this higher. This time let's go with 33. Maybe even higher than that. Let's go with 40. Okay, that looks really good. Now we're going to want to adjust the opacity on both of these layers. And then we're going to color tone them, bring everything together. Okay, so let's group these two sparkle layers. So select both. Right click. Group from layers. Call it sparkles, or it says name, enter sparkles. Press OK. Now we're going to right click on the sparkles group. And we're going to merge the group. And as you can see, it's removed our blending mode. So what we want to do is we want to change the blending mode from normal back to screen. We can adjust the opacity a little bit if we need to. Now we're going to neutralize the reds in this particular area, so in the sparkles only. What we're going to do is we're going to add a curves adjustment layer. So we're going to go to Layer, New, Curves. We're just going to call it Neutralizing. We're going to press OK. We're going to clip it so that it affects only the sparkles layer. Now we're going to go to the red channel. And we're going to use this right here, which allows us to select a specific part of the image to target, so a specific color to target. So we're going to target this right here. We're going to drag it down. You see that neutralizes the reds. These are injecting cyan into that part of the image. Okay, that looks good. Now let's click on the layer panel. Let's save. Now we're going to do some more color toning. This color toning is designed to bring the entire image together. So what we're first going to do is apply a golden gradient up again. We're going to go to Layer, New Adjustment Layer, Gradient Map. Call it golden number 2. Press OK. Select the golden gradient map. We're going to scroll down, select it. Click on layers. We're going to go and set our blending mode to soft light as usual. Then we're going to change the opacity. Okay, so what we want to do right now is we want to mask out the flowers. So we're going to go to Select, Load Selection, where it says Channel, select Flowers, press OK. Make sure that the black is in the background, press Delete. And that's exactly what we wanted to do. So let's deselect the selection. And that looks okay. Let's change the opacity a little bit since it's kind of harsh. So you know what we're going to do is we're going to soften the edges around the flowers a little bit. So we're going to go in with a black brush. We're going to decrease the size of the brush. Make sure it's a black soft brush. So we want the hardness here to be set to 0. And then we're just going to go in and soften the edges. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now let's add in another layer. So we're going to add in another gradient layer, gradient map layer. So we're going to go to layer, new, adjustment layer, gradient map. This time we're going to add in something that's a little bit more orange. So we're going to call it more orange. We're going to press OK. We're going to select this orange gradient right here. We're going to press layer. We're going to change the mode, blending mode from normal to soft light as usual. We're going to change the opacity to something very low, like 18%. We're going to mask out the flowers as we did before. So we're going to go to select, load selection, panel, flowers. Once again, we're going to make sure that black is in the background. Then we're going to press delete. And so now our background has more of a unified tone than it had before. It's quite vibrant, however. Now we're going to blur the background. I'm not going to go over how I do this because I have an entire video on this. I'm just going to do it very quickly. Now I actually want to blur the sparkles a little bit more, so I'm going to use a different method. I'm going to use the lasso tool. I'm going to select the non-blurred background, and I'm going to select just the sparkles. It can be a really bad rough selection like it is. And then I'm going to go to select, modify, feather, heavy feathering, so 500 pixels is good, press OK. And then I'm going to go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and that's too much. That is very nice. We're just finding a spot that we like. So actually what we're going to do is we're going to cancel this. We're going to duplicate that background. And now we're going to go back and blur it. Gaussian blur. Now we can apply a more intense blur to the top. Like that. And we can apply a mask. Let's deselect our selection. Apply a mask to that layer. Paint on the mask with black. Increase the size of our brush. Increase it even more. And that looks really good to me. Dave? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to select all those layers that we just made for the effects, and we're going to move them to the effects folder that I created earlier. Select all of them. Just drag them into the effects folder. Looks like we drag them above the effects folder. You want in it. Let's just do this. Let's just delete this group. And then let's make a new group out of all the layers. So right click, group from layers, effects, video 10, video number 10. Okay. Now we're going to open up that group. Now we're going to add a vibrance layer. We're going to adjust the vibrance of the background, because once we post it to Instagram, the background is going to be too vibrant. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to layer, new adjustment layer, vibrance. We're going to call it background toned down. I'm going to press OK. And now we can tone the vibrance down quite a bit. -18 is fine. Now notice we've lost some of the nice golden light in the highlights, but we can bring that in with a trick. So first, let's remove the effect of the vibrance from the flower. So we're going to go to Select, Load Selection, Channel, Flowers. Going to press OK. Going to make sure the black is the background as usual. Press Delete. Deselect. Go in and soften our mask if necessary. So our mask, the part that we want to soften is black, so we're going to go ahead and paint with black this time. Okay, so what we're going to do to bring back some of the golden highlights, we're going to apply a gradient mask or a gradient map. Okay, so what we're going to do to bring the golden highlights back into our image is we're going to add a gradient map adjustment layer. So we're going to go to Layer, New Adjustment Layer, Gradient Map Adjustment. We don't need to name it anything right now, so we're just going to press OK. We're going to add in an orange gradient map adjustment layer because we want very strong highlights. And then we're going to go set the blending mode from normal to overlay. Once again, we want everything to be very strong this time. We're going to set the opacity low though. And then we're going to go to blending options. So right click on the layer, click blending options. Then where it says blend if, where it says underlying layer, where there's this arrow right here, click on the middle of the arrow and hold down Alt. The arrow has split in half. Now take the arrow and drag part of it. So drag the right part towards the right, drag the left part towards the left. And this is going to isolate the effects of the gradient map layer to just the highlight. So as you've probably noticed, I have added another layer to my layer panel. This is another lighting layer. I wanted to add in some more soft, diffused white lighting to bring the entire image together even more. I'm not going to go over the method I used to create this because I went through and did a detailed video about this before. It's a method where I used a radial gradient and then I blurred it using radial blur. What I'm just going to do is I'm just going to turn it on, show you the settings. So the blend mode is set to screen and the opacity is to 47%. Okay, so that's it. I hope you enjoyed this series and I hope you subscribe to NVIDIA's channel for more videos like this. Thank you.